Alright, this is the beginning of the next unit, and we're talking about midpoints and the distance in the coordinate plane. And your learning target is I can develop and apply the formula for midpoint and use the distance formula and the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points. So let's get going here. So to begin this, we need to talk about a couple of formulas and a theorem real quickly. The first formula is called the midpoint formula. So if you have a line and you want to, and where you're asked to find the midpoint of that line, we can use this formula here, where you take the x values, x1 plus x2, you add them together and divide that by 2. So you're finding the average distance between those two x's. That's the midpoint for the x. And then with the y's, you do the same thing. You add y1 plus y2, find the average, divide by 2, and you've got your new y right here. This little diagram over here on the right kind of shows exactly what we're talking about. A is at x1, y1, B is at x2, y2. Add x1 and x2 together, divided by 2, and you've got your midpoint. Same goes for the y value. y1 plus y2 divided by 2 equals this point right here. It's the average of y1 and y2, and it's the average of x1 and x2. The distance formula, though, the distance formula is it uses this square root right here. It's we use x2, and then so you have to pick a point, call that one the second point. You subtract it from the x value of the first point, and then you square that difference. Then you add it to the difference of the y values squared, and take the square root of that, and you've got your distance of a line. And the last theorem is called the Pythagorean theorem. I think that should be something that you guys know pretty good. But how we do this is we take a squared, which is just the value of one side next to the right angle, plus the b squared, which is the other side of the right angle, then will equal c squared. You guys have the right triangle right here. The distance of one side squared plus the distance of the second side squared is going to equal the value of the hypotenuse squared. Okay, let's go ahead and get going on some examples. Alright, example 1 says to find the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ, line PQ with endpoints P at -8, 3, and Q is at -2, 7. So if we take a look here, again, here's the midpoint formula. So what we know we can do is we can just plug in the values of x's into here and the values of y's and then solve, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. My x1 I'm going to take as -8 here. I'm going to add that to the x2, which is -2. We're going to divide that by 2. And then for the y's, we have y1, which is 3, plus the y2, which is 7, and divide that by 2. Now this is just solving algebraically, right? -8 plus a -2 is a -10, divided by 2 still. And the y's, 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2. Again, we're just solving this the rest of the way. -10 divided by 2 is a -5, and 10 divided by 2 is a +5. So the coordinates of that midpoint of this line here is at -5, 5. And that's all you do to solve for the midpoint of a line. Alright, example 2 gets a little bit trickier here, okay? So what we have here is we have the M is the midpoint of XY. We have a line XY, and we know M is going to be the midpoint. X has coordinates at 2, 7, and M, that's our midpoint, has coordinates at 6, 1. So we don't know the value of Y. We don't know the coordinates for Y here. We know X and we know the midpoint of this line, but we don't know the coordinates of Y, and that's what we're trying to discover here. So I'm going to remind us of what the midpoint formula is again. It's x1 plus x2 divided by 2 is our new value of X, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2 is our new value of Y. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to we're just going to say that the Y coordinates, so anytime we have for Y here, point Y, it's going to be x, y. We're just going to use those coordinates in this formula. So let's go ahead and set this up. We know that M is the midpoint, which is 6, 1, is going to equal then 2 plus x. 2 is the x value of coordinate x divided by 2. And 7, which is the y value of x, plus y divided by 2. Okay? So I've set this up into the midpoint formula now, and that's our third step then is to find the x coordinate. Okay, so we know 2 plus x divided by 2 should give us 6, right? So we're going to plug that in. We have 2 plus x divided by 2 should equal 6. Now this is just algebra. Multiply by 2 on both sides. We end up getting 2 plus x is equal to 12. Subtract 2 from both sides. We end up getting x is equal to 10. Okay, so my x value is 10 for the coordinate of y. Now we need to go back. Our fourth step is to find the y coordinates for the coordinate of y. And we have, we know 7 plus y divided by 2 should equal then 1, right? All right, multiply by 2 again. We end up getting 7 plus y is equal to 2. And we have to subtract 7 from both sides, and we end up getting y is equal to -5. Which means, or so, y coordinates is 10, -5. So we're going to stop right there. Go ahead and work on the practice problems. Good luck, take care, and have fun. Peace.